guys, coming at you with another YouTube video, and today I'm going to be talking about peace. And after my last video, I was kind of thinking about, what video I should talk about next, praying a little bit about it, and the more I was reading, because I've been reading a couple devotionals, one about prayer and one before bed, and they both talked about peace. Not the same day, but yesterday I got confirmation about this video just at the church. At church service, the whole sermon was about peace. So I'm coming at you with this video about peace. The first verse I wanted to talk about is Luke 6:48, and it doesn't really have to do with peace, but it talks about something that's very important, building a foundation. It says, and this is out of Luke 6:48. They are like a man building a house who dug down deep and laid the foundation on rock. When a flood came, the house could not shake because it was well built. It had a very strong foundation, is what it was saying. And this is you can kind of relate this to, I can kind of relate this to myself when you build something strong. When you build something that has deep roots, it's hard for it to be, bended. So how I would relate this to life is kind of like in my previous videos talking about what are you doing with your time. How you build a strong foundation is with discipline and consistently showing up to whatever that might be. And things for a Christian, that's, praying, reading your word, going to church, hanging out with like-minded people, doing what is right. And it's not going to be easy, but if you are doing all these things and a hard situation comes your way, because there'll always be something difficult that comes your way, you're not going to be shaken, you're not going to be moved. However, on the other side, if I wasn't doing those things and I got some bad news, a relative died, I'd probably fall back into my old ways. Oh, let me just go drink. Or do whatever you're struggling with, You will keep perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. This kind of brings me to the first quote I wanted to bring up, which is, you receive peace when you are alone with God. And only through God can you have peace. This is a personal experience, but there are things of this world that have led me to being peaceful, like, playing basketball, which things aren't bad, but these things aren't bad, but God should always be at the center of your life. He's the one who gives you peace. If you're constantly doing things of the world, you're not going to be at peace with yourself, guys. And you can lie to yourself. And also it says that, I don't know exactly what verse, but if you are constantly doing evil, your hearts will grow cold. Some people get to the point where they don't know right from wrong. However, for me, I always knew what I was doing was wrong. I expressed this in my last video. Deep down, I always knew what I was doing was wrong, and I could never be at peace with myself. And it's something I always longed for, was peace, guys. Philippians 4:5-6, I believe. Do not be anxious by anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, presenting your requests to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will fall upon you. In those moments where you feel overwhelmed, express it to God. Pray, get down and pray. Put away distractions and make it known to God. And it might not be in that instant, but you will feel at peace shortly after. I promise you. I promise you, this has literally happened to me, and I know it's happened to countless others too. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it means it will happen. You just have to put you have to put it you have to make God a priority. Very, very important. But I'm gonna get into my next verse. John 14:27. My peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Kind of like I was saying, that he will give you peace, but he might not always give it the way you think he will. God is so much bigger than us. I remember our pastor kind of just saying that God will always answer our prayers, but it might not be the way you think he will. And that he also tests our faith. If we were to ask God for anything and he would give it right there, there'd be no reason to have faith in God, because he gave you what you want and you just toss him aside. He gives you it and another reason why he might not answer the prayer you think, why he might not answer your prayer the way you think, is because you might not be ready. God knows the perfect time for everything, and we have to have faith in him. We have to be at peace with all we have, and being grateful is such an important thing. Like, we have so much to be thankful for, and it is easy to take advantage of that, always comparing ourselves. It also says comparison is a thief of joy. I'll get right into another quote. The battle of prayer is against two things: wandering thoughts and lack of intimacy with God. As told in his word, neither can be cured at once, but they can both be cured by discipline. This is something, I see myself struggling with, is just wandering thoughts, like I was saying, when you pray, and being really intimate, being intentional with God. And this is something I think you have to practice at, and pray for focus. That's another thing I love to do, is just focus my thoughts, God. Focus my thoughts, enlighten my eyes, address my sin. Focus my thoughts, address my sin, enlighten my eyes. Search my heart, train my hands. Sorry, I was trying to remember them. And it spells out feast. But nonetheless, these are things that you can pray before you read or you pray, to really just focus your thoughts, because your mind, the devil would try to distract you. Another thing I forgot to, the devil will do anything he can to stop you from praying, because he knows it's powerful, guys. He knows how powerful it is. He will put anything in your way to try to avoid you. Oh, let me just watch this TV show. Let me just go smoke. Let me just go eat. Let me go take a shower. He will do anything. But you guys got to stop and pause and remember, I need to pray right now. I'm overwhelmed. I need God. And he will rest upon you guys. I love the last part of this quote, though. It says, but these can be cured by discipline. Discipline is something that's so important, guys. And it's something that I've really had to learn over these past 2 years. It's doing the thing that's right, even though it's not easy. Every single day, too, Some days you're going to be like, okay, I got this. But some days it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. You're not going to want it. But you got to remember discipline. Not just for the feeling, but doing it because it's the right thing to do, guys. You don't always do the right thing because you're going to get something out of it. You do it because it's the right thing to do. If I did something because if I were to do something because I knew I'd get something out of it, I'd probably do it every single time, now that I think about it. But that's not the point I'm trying to get across to you, is we live in a world that's not fair. So if you do something good, no one owes you anything. They don't have to do something good in return. But that doesn't mean you don't do it, And this doesn't always apply with people. It can apply with, being disciplined about your appetite, being disciplined about your going to the gym, being disciplined about waking up early, being disciplined about being in prayer, being in your word. And I promise you, at least from my perspective, these are things that I feel better afterwards. Like I said in a previous video, they don't feel good in the moment, but after guys, you feel good. And it's crazy because the exact opposite is with the bad stuff you do. Drinking, smoking, sex, drugs, whatever it might be. They feel good in the moment, but what about after, guys? What about after? No one always thinks about the after. They only think about, okay, what feels good in this moment, and then boom, regret, shame, all these things. They lead right after. But I'm gonna get right into the next verse. It's out of Colossians 3:15. I'm gonna flip to it in my Bible and just breathe. I heard someone say that most people don't even take 5 deep breaths throughout the day. You know, they'll grab their vape, they'll grab their dab pen, they'll grab whatever they might be drinking before even breathing. It feels fantastic, guys. Like, just stop and breathe sometimes. Yeah, you don't always need some kind of something. You just need to stop and breathe. I love this verse though. It's out of Colossians 3:15. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace, and be thankful. We were longed to be at peace, guys. You know, it's contrary to the devil, because the devil always wants chaos. He always wants anxiety. He always wants some kind of conflict going on. But it says we were called to peace. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts, guys. Let it rule, you know, and that means we have a choice. We have a choice to let the peace of God come into us, you know, or we can say no and, you know, fall on the ways of the world. But it's a choice, guys. And I'm going to read actually the first few verses behind that, 12 and 13 and 14. There is God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved. Clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you have grievance towards someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. And overall, these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Man, I love those verses where it talks about bear with one another and forgive one another, for your Father has forgiven you. You have to use these things, like be compassionate, kindness, humility, patient with one another, guys. These are all really important qualities. And your Father has forgiven you, you know? If you make a mistake, present your request to God. Forgot the rest of the verse, but present your request to God and He will forgive you, guys. It's as simple as that. Jesus died on the cross so that we can be saved. However, it says we must turn from sin, though. When we ask for forgiveness, we can't just keep asking God, oh, I'm sorry, but then going right back to that sin. Learn from your mistakes, guys. I know that's a little off topic about these verses, but I want to read a quote that kind of, I wanted to read a quote to you guys. We can't have peace with God and not others. It goes both ways. So if we're at peace with God, we can't just hate everybody else. No, we have to have peace with everybody else. We have to recognize that we are all sinners. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We have to be kind. We have to show humility. We have to be gentle. We have to be patient. We have to be compassionate towards one another. It's not going to be easy, but your Father has done this to you, so why not you so you can do it to others. You know, that doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. You're not always going to be on par, but you can strive for it. You can strive for greatness, guys. You can do it, brother. I promise you. I promise you. But yeah, that's all. I'll get right into the next verse. Ephesians 4, 1 through 3. As a prisoner for the Lord, then I urge you to live a life worthy of your calling you have received. Be completely humble, gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace, guys. You feel at peace when you do these things, guys. It feels good to uplift someone else. You know, you may not always want to, but every single time I've gone out of my way to do something for someone else, I felt uplifted myself. That's why, like, I remember a pastor or someone else feeling, when saying, like, when you uplift someone, you feel uplifted yourself. You might not want to, but, like, seeing someone joyful, that's the most joy I've ever felt. Is seeing that, man, you made someone's day. You know, and you will be at peace. Because you're doing what is right, guys. You're doing what is right. That's what leads you, you know, simple. Another quote, the last quote I kind of wanted to share with you guys is, just something, it's a little off topic, but it's something that the pastor mentioned, and it's just a thought. We have low expectations of the world, but not with church. I feel like I related with this because our expectations, we know the world's a cruel place, so our expectations are so low. So when someone does something even slightly above it, we're like, wow, this person's so great. But then with the church, with Christianity, with Jesus, our expectations are way up here. So we expect them to be met every single time, but that's not how it works. Just a thought, you know, but you know, that doesn't mean Christ can't reach these expectations, but he's not going to do it as the way we think he is. Like I was saying earlier, but I'm going to get into these last two verses, and then that's all. First Thessalonians 5:18. Oh my goodness, I can hardly say that. Give thanks in all circumstances, for it's God's will for you in Christ Jesus, guys. There's a reason why you're going through what you're going through. I think this is what this verse is trying to explain. There is a reason why you are suffering. You know, suffering produces character. It produces amazing things sometimes, guys. We just can't see it right now. We just got to keep going forward. I'm going to throw up a picture of, like, this thing I saw where it's like this guy, and he's mining, and he's almost to the diamonds, guys, but he turns around. He gives up. He throws in the towel, guys. But he was so close. He was so close to what he was longing for. But he gave up. You know, and it goes back to my things. If you got your roots planted deep, if you got your foundation, when the storm comes, you're not going to be blown away. And be thankful, guys. Guys, God woke you up today. He gave you air. If you have food, if you have a job, if you have somewhere to take a shower, be thankful, guys. There is people around the world that don't have these things. I'm going to end with these verses out of Numbers 6:24 through 26. It's something I was just reading this morning earlier, you know, and I haven't noticed too many verses out of the Old Testament that stuck out to me, but I love these verses right here. And it's kind of like a prayer. So if you will, listen. Sorry. I don't know why I said if you will, but Numbers 6:24 through 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord makes his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Amen, brother. Thank you for sticking around. I know this was a bit of a longer video, but I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.